guys, welcome back to Easy HVAC. Hope you're all having a good day. I made a short video a couple of days ago about this unit here. One of the condensing fan motors for this unit is running, or it is still running in reverse. So you can see this fan motor is spinning the correct direction. If we go over to this fan motor, it is spinning the wrong way, the opposite direction. So I did check the capacitor, and the capacitor is bad. So I do have the replacement capacitor here. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to replace that capacitor and see if that fan motor, see if we can fix that fan motor. So let's open it up. We're going to shut the unit off, open it up, and swap those capacitors out. Shut it off. So every time we shut the disconnect off, you always want to make sure that the power, or that we have no power. Disconnects do fail, so you never want to be in a situation where your disconnect has failed and you end up touching something that is live and hurting yourself, electrocuting yourself. So we definitely do not want that. So we are going to confirm that we have no power. I've got my meter set to volts AC. I really got to change the battery on this thing. So we've got no voltage there. This is 3-phase power. 3.8 volts there. And now we're going to check each leg to ground. Nothing there. There. So we've got 4 volts. Okay, so we're good, no power. Now what we're gonna do is disconnect our capacitor. If I can maneuver in here. I hate that the capacitors are all the way in the corner. Makes them kind of hard to get to for these models. And you can't even see the screw really to unscrew the capacitor. You kind of have to feel around for it. It's right there. see if I can reach that screw. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and discharge this capacitor so I don't shock myself. Capacitors do hold charge, so always a good practice to discharge them so you don't end up shocking yourself. But it happens though. Sometimes you just forget and you end up getting zapped. It's all part of the job. But obviously the safety is number one, so especially when you're working around electricity. Always practice or always put safety first, guys. Alright, so this is our capacitor. It's rated for 10 microfarads. Let's test it. I'll show you guys what the rating is. All right, let's see. Keep it still. Try this again. Alright, so you can see we're reading 6.7 microfarads. So this capacitor is rated for 10 plus or minus 5%, so we're definitely below that range. So we are going to replace this capacitor. And actually, let's go ahead and check the other one over here. Well, we'll check the other one. We'll put the new one in first, and then we'll check the other one. New capacitor. $10 microfarads. Let's confirm that it's actually good. Alright, 9.7 microfarads. So this capacitor is good. Let's go ahead and put it back. hard to put this screw back because I can't see. Alright, I finally got the screw back in. Finally. Alright, now we're going to wire this back up. Make sure those connections are tight. Alright, let's check the other capacitor. Let's see what we get. .3 microfarads, so this capacitor is also bad, so we will have to change this one too. So that's why it's important to check all of your capacitors, even if you have one fan motor that is running the right way. You know, obviously check all of the capacitors. Better to you know, replace all of them while you're there, instead of having to come back, you know, having to come back just to replace the capacitor. So always double check that, guys. So however, I do not believe I have another 10 microfarad cap on my truck. So we're gonna check that, see if I have another one, and then we'll replace that capacitor as well. Always check all of your electrical connections. Make sure everything is nice and tight. We're gonna open up these contactors. Make sure the contacts are good. Everything feels tight. I don't have any loose wires. And this may seem pretty basic, but I can't tell you how many times I've been on calls and I've seen wires that are barely screwed in. And what that leads to is arcing. And you'll see wires just burnt to a crisp, contactors just, completely worn out, burned, I mean, it just, you know, it's you can have so many issues just from not tightening down your wires. So always make sure that your wires are tight, your electrical connections are tight. Doesn't look too bad. Sometimes contactors actually, they can also get welded shut. So that happens a lot too with the contactor. Even though you're not calling for 20, you know, you don't have 24 volts in the coil, the contactor can get stuck in like this, and you'll have a fan motor or a compressor that, you know, runs all the time, even when you're not calling for cooling. So homeowners, if you have an issue with your system, you know, maybe you wonder why, if you're ever wondering why your system is still running even though the thermostat is no longer calling for cooling, space is satisfied, the issue can definitely be the contactor outside in your outdoor condensing unit. Alright, so that contactor is okay. So there's slight pitting, and not too bad. So that one's okay. Let's check that last contactor. This one is not too bad either, decent. So we'll leave that one as well. Alright, so my contactors are good. Slight pitting, but nothing too significant. me to change them. So we'll put this back. We'll put this cover plate back on the contactor, and then I need to go check to see if we have another capacitor in my truck. And actually, I think that capacitor on top that was reading 2 microfarads actually might be the one that serves the bad fan motor that's running in reverse. So hopefully I do have one in my truck. If not, I'll have to go pick one up and we'll get that swapped out too. Let's go to the truck and see if I have one. Alright guys, so went to the truck and I was able to find another capacitor. So we're gonna replace this, replace the bad one, and hopefully we can fix the fan. So this screw is a little easier because I can actually see it. There's the bad capacitor. Put the new one in. Let's go ahead and wire it back up. So that's nice and tight. Cool guys, so we got the new capacitors in. Let's get ready to fire her up. Just turn the unit back on. Best to always stand to the side of the disconnect when you're turning it on, in case of arc flashes or anything like that. I mean, sometimes this front panel can literally fly off. I've never had it happen to me before, but you know, you always want to be safe when you're working around electricity. So best to stand to the side. All right, so we have lights. So far we have a call for fan. There goes our fan. There's our stage 1 call for cold. There's our compressor. Alright, let's check our fans. That fan's running. Take an amp draw of our fans. Okay, so we currently are running 1 amp, and we're allowed 1.3. This fan is not running so far, but we are allowed 1.3 amps. So. That fan is good. So far we're only going through stage 1. So we'll wait for stage 2 to kick on the other fan. A quick way that you can check your fans. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry. We've got stage 2. And I still have that fan that's off. Or I have one fan that's off right now, so a quick way that you can test your fans. You can take the black wire coming from your fan motor, the common wire, and move it to the top of the ice cube relay. Basically what that does is when the relay is not energized, you see the purple wire here? Okay, where this wire is connected, this contact and the very top contact with no wire on it are connected. Okay, so without the coil being energized, the very top contact is live, does have power, because the top contact and this contact where the wire is connected are closed without the coil being energized. When the coil is energized, then obviously this wire coming from the fan motor and our feed wire, those two contacts close. And that's what energizes our fan. So come over here, and this is just a quick test. I mean, without having to go through the controller, but you can turn the disconnect back off. This disconnect is kind of sticking. But you can come over here, you can take off this wire, and move it to the top, and now our fan should come on right away, because this is always live. So our fan should come on right away when we turn the disconnect on. If your fan doesn't come on, then you have a bad fan motor. Alright, my fan is running. Let's make sure it's running the correct way. And it is. We're going to take an amperage reading. Alright, 0.8 amps. 0.8 amps. So this fan motor is good. We are below our rating. Now I have both fans running, so we're going to check the other one just to be sure. I think this one is amping a little higher. Okay, so now that they're both running, we're drawing around 0.9. This one's drawing about 0.9 amps. But the fan motors are good. So, yeah guys, now come back over here and turn the disconnect off. And put that connection back. Put the fan back where it was. Also, another tip, these ice cube relays, see how these are kind of starting to wear out a little bit. I mean, oftentimes you'll see cracks, especially like on the bottom, just from, mean, they wear out. They overheat and they crack here on the bottom of the, see where the coil is? This is the coil. But you'll see cracks in the actual block. You can like pull out of the casing. So pay attention to that too. It's definitely components that you have to replace often. So just be mindful of that. But we'll put this back, and there we go. All right, so everything should be good to go. We've got both fan motors, both condensing fan motors running. Capacitors are good. My electrical connections are good. Let's go ahead and turn the unit back on, and then we will take a delta T. I'm not going to connect my gauges just because this building has an energy management system, and I can actually see the I can see the temperatures, the space temperatures. And before I replaced the capacitors, I mean, we were only, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 degrees off of what the set point was. And that was with the bad fan motor. So we were still cooling somewhat. But now that I've replaced the fan motors, we should be should be back in range. So I don't want to connect my gauges and waste any refrigerant when I don't have to. But let's turn the unit back on. Let's see what we get. So guys, let me know in the comments the type of units that you work on. Train, Ward, Linux. I work on a lot of Linux, so I'm pretty used to the M17 board, the M18 board, the Prodigy controls. Yeah, mostly used to Linux. I do have some carrier. Well, as you've seen, I actually do have some carrier units that I work on. Some train as well. Locations. Yeah, guys, let me know in the comments what you're used to working on. Are you residential? Are you commercial? Industrial? Let me know. We're reading about 57 degrees in the supply. We were reading 74 in the return, so that's about a 17 degree split. That's pretty good. Pretty good, not bad. Typically, a good split is 18 to 21 degrees, so we've only been running in second stage for a couple of months. But this unit is cooling. Alright, so we got both of our fans running. We replaced the capacitors. This unit is good. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on future videos. Hope you all have a safe day. See you on the next one.